My name is Klaus Biesenbach. I'm the new director here of Neue National Gallery since nearly 3 months. And I couldn't be more grateful and excited to host tonight's panel. I was just talking to the panelists, and art history to me is the history of artist friendships. And tonight I'm making a new friend with Oliver Wainwright, the acclaimed architectural writer from The Guardian. Thank you so much for being here, Oliver. And Asta reminded me that in the good old early 90s of Berlin, you and I we met through the artist Andrea Zettel, who thinking about sustainable housing and thinking about artist communities, but also to think about what architecture can do for you. She is such an inspiration as an artist. Our last guest tonight is an artist that I met, is an artist and an architect that I met through a very dear friend of mine, Christoph Schlingensief. And I couldn't be more honored and more grateful that I know you for so long. And I know you don't want to talk about what happened in the last 24 hours. And I'm not mentioning anything. I'm just in awe. I congratulate. I'm not saying to what. And I have something hidden in the podium, so.
A warm welcome also from my side to this new talk format at Neue Nationalgalerie that we developed together with Neue Nationalgalerie, we as Euroboden Architekturkultur. Thank you very much, Klaus Biesenbach, for inviting us all here, and thank you for cooperating with us. My name is Alexander Gutzma. I'm architecture writer and director communication at the real estate developer Euroboden. And dear Francis, what fantastic news we heard yesterday. I'm not going to mention it as well. But what a deserved prize for an architectural position that has such sensitivity for the cultural role of architecture, for its function to provide shelter and a sense of community also. All these functions are addressed by many of your projects, by all of your projects, but namely by the fantastic opera village in Burkina Faso, a project that Euroboden supported from early on. And this project also formulates a very specific answer to the big question this evening: what can architecture do for you? What can today's architecture do for you? A big question in these days in which architecture and city planning are facing bigger challenges than ever: climate change, rising housing prices, and the social cohesion of our urban fabric. For Euroboden, as a developer, the question of our social and cultural contribution has always been a driving force. And this is why we were so glad when the Freundeskreis der Nationalgalerie, namely Katharina von Klebowski, where is she? Somewhere over there. When she approached us and suggested we become architectural partner of this iconic institutions. And this is why we're looking forward to the answer Francis Kéré will give to the question today, first in his presentation and then in the later discussion with Asta Gröting and Oliver Wainwright. So without further ado, thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Francis, for being here. Once again, congratulations, and the stage is yours.
What a great evening. Thank you, Klaus, for the great introduction and for the flowers. I will do my best to go show you some ideas about what I've been working for a long time. As a person sitting in the kitchen of his apartment, and then suddenly having an office in Berlin and being able to work. So thank you to Euroboden for organizing this gathering. Also, Asta, thank you, and dear Oliver, thank you very much. If you know me, a presentation is also always a walk through what I've been doing through the process. Because today is very special, and I guess you will understand that I will not walk in front of you because I am not able to do it today. But I want to say something that Fabiola wanted me to mention. Fabiola told me to talk to you guys of German because many people doesn't know that I'm speaking German. So, guten Abend und herzlich willkommen hier. And with your allowance, Oliver, I would love to say I'm a kid of this city. Ich bin ein Kind dieser Stadt. To Miss van der Rohe, I have a great memory. It was the time when I was studying architecture at the TU Berlin. And we had someone teaching architectural sociology and talking about this great pavilion here. He told us, you know, when I was a young beginner, I came among other people to demonstrate again the placement of this pavilion here, because it was meant to be a factory in Latin America. And we protested and saying what is good for as a factory in Latin America cannot be a museum in Germany. And he says, but now this project has valuated the city so far that you cannot imagine. He spoke about the church next to, and say, at the time, the church was not visible, but it was there. And because of this structure here, the church has such a visibility. And those living in Berlin, you may correct me, but this church is the prominent church, talking about politicians just coming to retire. And I didn't know about all of that. But what I have learned is about the power of inspiration. But it's also about a power about what architecture can do, transformation. And so, of course, later on, I get to know Mies van der Rohe through other buildings. And the one that most impressed me was the House Lemke, that I had the chance to survey as a student. As a student, you have to earn a little bit of money, especially if you're not, if your parents are not coming from this city. And one of the greatest jobs I had was to survey property that was going from a former German Democratic Republic to the German Republic. And among them was House Lemke. I love this house so much because of the size, because about his simplicity, and I love it. And I can tell you, while studying architecture, I said, that is the kind of example I love. So this is my connection to Mies. So then I went further thinking about, you know, you're coming from a community that is really strongly related. The survival of every single member depends on how you support each other. But I left this community and to learn how to read and write. And I was lucky, again, a scholarship to go to another city within Burkina Faso to become a carpenter. And there I get, again, a scholarship to come to Germany. So I was away from my community. Then I learned how to build. I went back to give something to that community, you know, to contribute by building a school. And that is the school that I built as a student. And I had to make it very simple because I have to translate it to my people. And everyone has to understand it and how it works. And so I am working so simple that everyone understands the drawings, the layers, what are part of the building. And yes, I had no money that time. I still have not enough money. I had to create a foundation to raise money. So later on, if you have time, I'm not too emotional. I will tell you, if you're looking for funding in Germany, you will have hundreds of thousands of people that I know where you should go and knock to look for money, but I don't have the money for you. So I went to meet all political parties. Believe me, I know all of them. I went to knock, except those that are having a position that you will not deal with them. So there was no money. So I founded, I created an association, which is now called Kéré Foundation, because my team wanted it to be like this. It was calling Schulbausteine für Uganda e.V. And now we made it Kéré Foundation, which is cool, modern, and great. But that is not the issue. The issue was with that foundation, I could do this, and because I didn't have a lot of money, I have to train my people. If you have many people involved, you can achieve more with less money. And that's how it started. And we built a school with very simple techniques. Like you can see, it was modern, really modern. And even today, if I go back and looking, I will say, wow, you made it. You have a school in your village. No kids will leave the village to go further somewhere else to study, to learn how to read and write. And after the first building, we had to build an extension that you could see further. But what I want to show you is about how people are using the building. And even those pictures are helping me to redesign structure that I'm doing, looking always for space for kids to gather, to stay. It doesn't take longer than people start to knock to my door, asking to help them do their social work, to build schools for them. So here is one example. So the way how I use material, how I create space, how you build in a place where there are sometimes no trees, because this is the piece of land that they will easily give to you. The land where you can just do agriculture, they will not use it for a school building. So it means we have to deal with a dry site where no plants are growing. And I started always with sketches, and then it ended up becoming a form in terms of drawings and models, creating a courtyard that will protect the users for the weathering, for the wind. Especially in Burkina Faso, the Sahara wind can be very strong and disturbing. Very simple ideas. So how do you create a building that is comfortable inside without using fossil energy to cool it down? And this is a good solution in places like Burkina Faso that are not wealthy like Germany is. And you will read about a lot of words, social architecture, and talking to friends, I will say I didn't invent nothing. I just tried to use existing structure in my culture to really do architecture. Here is a picture for you which is evident. You will see women sending wood that will be used to create a facade in the construction site. And then if I go, sometime I take a picture like this, what is telling me you are generating income? These women will earn money. And while I'm talking to you, I think we have like 4 construction sites like this, simply in Burkina Faso. But now, Kenya, Uganda, and many other places, we have projects where we try to do similar, getting people be involved and to, with less resources, to create something that is big to serve the community. And then with some of the wood, we create our furniture, and it happened directly on the construction site. There is no need for a special workshop, and I do random sketches, and we put them together. And if I'm passing by, after we have thought, I will sit and just check the furniture, make a proposal for improvement, and then it will there. And some of those shares are already in museums in the US, to my surprise. Because what means to me is to try to create space that is serving my people. So here is the project. You can see the site is really dry, as I'm telling you. No one will give you land to build a school when it's fertile. And so we have to adapt, find solutions how to create vegetation. I'm going very quick because I propose not to talk longer, not to do a lecture, just to give you a teaser and to hope that we can debate. And you see what you can do with the local available wood. Creating space that provides shade, and the kids could stay. And that is how it looks. And inside, the classroom. But then, I think Klaus will be happy. And if you agree, we can sell this as a piece of art, if you like. But it's just to show you how we're trying to use elements that are abundant in the culture, for example, to make an irrigation system. So we will dig a big hole, and don't tell me, oh, what is the magic to dig a big hole and put a tree and irrigate? I'm telling you, if you live with minimum resources, you better save your energy. And to compare to many other people, I have access to information. And I have an advantage to be able to think further than others. So if someone standing in Burkina, a peasant, a farmer, to dig a big hole and just put a tree, no one will understand why you're wasting so much energy to do that. But I do it because I know what I wanted to achieve. And what I'm showing you so easily, if you come to some of our construction sites and you honestly talk to the people, what they mostly admire are that effort that I'm doing to plant trees. Some of the comment will be, you know, Francis, you know what our people, now it is in another region, were thinking. They were thinking they know you may be able to build, but about the trees, you must be stupid trying to plant a tree there. We have tried many, many times. It never worked. But then they overwhelm, and that's why everyone is following you and looking to you with a lot of respect, because the way you used to do it, it's just growing. You see the pot, the role of the pot, and then you're creating space, and you really keep thinking the trees are growing. You put the sort of sitting out of the leftover, and then you created the bench, and the kids are really using it. For some of the projects that we're working, and that is to me important to tell you, some people will come to ask me to design a simple school. And nowadays, they're growing to become universities, like this site. So now I'm thinking sharply before I embark in an adventure to do a project with clients, because I have to make sure that is a 1 year, 2 years, because some of the project end up being in the office, because every year we keep extending. Like this one. It is, they call it BIT, MIT. You know what is MIT. And this client wanted to have a Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Burkina Faso. So we call it BIT. I like it. I like the sort of inspiration. And we do it. And I'll show you very quick how we do. And even we haven't published the material of that project. Because the material is clay that we pour like you will do with concrete. It's not brick, it's not rammed earth, it's a different material. It's clay with water, gravel, that you really use the way that you will pour concrete. And the site is growing. One of the things that I'm facing in our work is the sun. The sun is a playboy to me, or a playgirl, if this term exists. And it's my friend and enemy at the same time. It is very hot, and when it's not anymore there is no light. So what we're trying to do is to use this playboy, to use the sun, and to create a passive ventilation system throughout our buildings. It's like a Venturi system, call it whatever you want. Until now, I feel that I'm working very nicely. And here is an example how we try to solve, how do you pour clay in the corner without that is cracking. And so in this project, knowing that it will never end after 4 classes, we decided to create a form. And then every year, every time when the client will call, I need 2 more classes, I don't need to go. In the meantime, I have a big team that will just use the form and pour another classroom or a seminar room. And so we have a lot of young people, and I can tell you here, honestly, these people that you see here, sometimes there may be more than 200. I haven't seen a single one of them trying to ask me if he can come to Europe, because they have income. They can stay with their family. Yeah. Here is the project. Now you see the high school next, and the campus. This picture is already very old because the campus has already growing with 2 more seminar rooms. Is that correct? Yeah. And so you see the site and you see the city. So when we do a project, you will be surprised. People start to buy land around and secure. But for me as architect, it's showing you how fast this, when they're talking about population growth and how cities are growing, you really can see it, on months basis. Also on daily basis, how people come and build very fast and to benefit from the infrastructure that is growing. So always courtyard, that's what we do, where the student can sit and using whatever left over to create louver, ventilation openings, and then whatever ceiling. There is not a lot of resources to do that what we have here, but is no need for that. And so if I'm looking back, looking to a picture like this, I realize that we're creating a sort of light. So we're bringing light in terms of development in underdeveloped places. And so you really see that is love for what we're doing. It's needed. Very quick, another project, and then I will go. Startup lines. This project is so important to me because this client wanted to cut the normal curricula. Normally, you have to attend high school to do your high school degree to be able to study. By the way, that's what I was forced to do in Berlin. I went to an urban gymnasium to do my high school degree. And it was good because at night I could learn and work during the day to earn money to feed my family. It was fantastic. So here, this partner asked me to design a sort of startup lines campus. And then he will just recruit refugees and send them there. And they give them a computer, and they will learn how to do digital designing and compete with the world. The place is called Turkana in Kenya. It is a place far from every urban settlement. It's really remote. But you're going to be surprised to see how this project is working. So I wanted to learn from what is available around. There are a structure like this one where the traditional population is gathering. But I was learning how you can use this structure made by nature, by termite, to cool the building. And then trying to explore and then to translate it into architecture and sketches. And again, using the sun as a friend in this time. So this is a Venturi system with models, and you see where we are. That is nothing. And here is a termite hill next to the site. And this is the project. So textile landscaping, while I'm talking to you, the office is already working to build 50 housing because there is such a high demand you cannot imagine. And so office is working on that to make it happen. And so it's work. It's fantastic. And beside the fact that they will not be able to afford, none of these young guys will look at to come to Europe. and referring to what happened to Germany with the Syrian refugees, which brought to Merkel from a loving leader, a leader that everyone loved, to a personality that in this republic was not like the darling of everyone. So I may be wrong. You may correct me. Xylem. I love architecture. And xylem is talking about the core of nutrition of a tree. And I was called by a couple, Peter and Kari, to really come and create a pavilion where visitors of their art center could rest. And I went looking around. I found a lot of trees, dead forests, and I wanted to use them and give them a new life. And then we start to design. And the problem is with this project is Montana has a very strong winter and a very hot summer. So you cannot build in wintertime. What we did is to really prefabricate it, to just work and develop a system during the winter time that will produce in workshops and then install in summer. And so this is already the installation. There was a lot of ideas here. To another conference I may go. I had that kind of dream. There was a creek, and I was dreaming to create a romantic bridge. So, and this is the bridge you saw. And at the end, the client called to say, you know, Francis, we either cancel the project or we cut 1 million or 1.5 million. I said, you know, I don't care. Let's take away the bridge and use the money you have to create a structure. And that we did. And we were able to open in 2019. So until now, nothing else was able to be open. So I was happy to really deal with the client and just get it happen. And this is the project, the pavilion. So within the landscape, and I have, as you are, there is a lovely daughter tending and try the project. And what you see that looks random is engineering inside. There's always an idea in my work, modularity. And having the chance to work with artists, it gives you more freedom to try to risk, you know. And by the way, far right, I don't know how you see, with blue, it is Kathy who dressed the day blue for me because I love blue. I love other colors also. And then Peter, this is the client who now have become generous supporter of my foundation. And we enjoy concert there. Actually, I have to cancel because I didn't count with what happening to my life. I was supposed to be there in April to enjoy concert and etc. But they will have understanding that I will cancel. But it's a beautiful place. And for me as architect with my team, it's so great to contribute. Coming from Gando, going to Montana, it was not easy, it was tram time. You will land in Billings, and then you see that the situation has changed, that you will be kept long time with your passport. But you know, so is the life. No one is meant to stay in the position forever. And so things have changed. We was able to build and inspire even cowboys, really, believe me. Yeah. So from little school to furniture, so I have a chance to really also do an exercise dreaming of creating institutional buildings. Here is one example. So trying to learn the way how people gather in Africa for a long time and to introduce this principle into Parliament House. Here I have to reveal you a secret from my culture. My culture, due to the colonial past, is Eurocentric focus by themselves, but because your culture is so attractive. I mean, you don't know it. You know, you here in Europe, you have friends, and your best friends are from Africa, believe me. If you go in a little remote little house, in a circular box, you will see picture of your greatest soccer players. They love your culture so much. And so the politics love your way of doing things. So a parliament house should be like, almost like Versailles or a microcopy of the White House. But imagine Francis just arrive and say, oh, let's build arbre à palabre. If you say this, you don't want them to develop. You want them to keep down because arbre à palabre, it's nothing, But I was lucky, trying to be honest or to provoke that I'm facing, chances to build. Parliament House, in terms of arbre à palabre, if you go through West Africa, a tree is a gathering space until now. It can be used for many, many purposes. So don't look at the sketches. It's always to try to capture what do you want to express. And it goes to design a big building that should be passive as possible, which fit to the place, because there is not a lot of resources to really invest in a very expensive building. Half of my team just came in the right time. I think it was Jaime, Alexander, and Philip. Myself, I was supposed to go, and I was planning to go. Gudrun and Cyril and Mr. Koch. But then I think half of them got corona. And I just used the opportunity to say, I also have corona. So I lied to everyone that I'm not in Berlin. I just stayed in Berlin. I didn't go, but the team is here and then very safe. And they could watch really the construction site growing. I'm putting these images to show you the size of the project. You could see next is a stadium, an Olympic stadium, but you see the size, and if you remember how we started, and you see what the office is dealing, what kind of size we're doing. And it's shaping. And to your surprise, my office will go and check, but we were able to really create a big team, come from Senegal, from Togo, from Burkina Faso, joint effort with people from Benin to go through this huge building. So, because Oliver is here, the last time before this meeting, we met at the Serpentine Pavilion. Here, it was a little provocation saying even a rich city like London should create examples that demonstrated the way how human beings should deal with nature, to create a giant canopy and a funnel to collect water on the Kensington Garden to irrigate the plant. And we built it. And ladies and gentlemen, what you see is completely wood. It is tree material, not more. Of course, color. And it's okay, I love colors. And my office so. Here, Oliver asked me before, this pavilion is now sold to the richest foundation in Asia, the Elan Foundation, that is still waiting for me to find time to come for inauguration. Is going to be a public library, and then a gathering space surrounded by old fishermen houses that she bought. And she just told me, Francis, Africa is fantastic to Asian people, but it is far away. I want to bring Africa to these people, and I would love you to design even more for us. So because of Corona, I couldn't go, but for sure, I will go and try to bring them close to Africa. And here, in the US, we did it, the Coachella gathering space. And I show this to tell you from a festival structure, now it has become a community center in Palm Springs, in India. They installed, I think someone from the office, the coordinator, Fabiola, was there to see it. And soon we will go, and a poor community, I don't know why the word poor, but let's say underserved community will then benefit this project. And they're already excited to see me there. So those are the images that I wanted to share with you. So what can today's architecture do for you? I don't know. But I'm probably sure a lot. A lot. We are made in buildings, maybe during nighttime outside, This is where we share our intimacy. This is where we work. This is where we gather together. And so in the world that is facing a huge crisis, I'm talking about climate change, I'm talking about the pandemic and all of these issues, I think architecture can do a lot. But we will see in the debate. I will say, but it's not just the architect. It is all of you, okay, that has to answer this question. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the lecture, Francis, and thank you, Euroboden. And what can architecture do for you? That's a very, very good question. I hope something positive. And what Francis showed us that to enable the community, to improve the community and to live in a positive community, that's for me the greatest thing anyway in the society, to build a society which is not locked in single apartments and have to live in loneliness. And the mission in Francis architecture is this big dream to improve the society. And you said, I love architecture, and I only love architecture when it's a positive architecture and when there is a mission to do something for the society. And so I'm just going to show two very short works of mine which are related to architecture, two films about 2 minutes. The first film is Berlin Fassaden. These are 17 facades of the last facades which are not renovated in Berlin, which are destroyed in the war. And we made them of the sticky silicone, which depict every detail, the moss and the dirt, and works on the other hand like a photographic long time exposure, because all the dirt which happened in the moment of when the bullet holes hit the wall through to the moment when we took the silicone casts were depicted and taken. A facade is the face of a building, and literally the word facade comes from the Latin word facies, and like faces of humans, facades have holes, cracks, pimples, marks, and I think we are all more attracted to faces which we are fascinated by faces where we can see damages, like damaged facades are probably more interesting for me, definitely, like slick facades. But the strategy of the cities is really the opposite. The strategy is to erase all damages and marks and to build slick facades with slick materials. This was Anata Barnov, and this is the dirt. You can see the dirt. I want to peel off what is left of the facade and what says a lot of the trauma in all the sites when war happened, which often is transported through the next generations. This as well is the kind of archaeological metaphor where layer for layer with much patience is brought to the surface to reconstruct our relation to this. And the next film is Bohlendam. This is my last project 2 weeks ago. we made a cast of 6 meter of the oldest street in Berlin. It's 800 years old. It's from 1215, and it was covered, or it is still covered, 2.5 meter below the street. It's made of big 3 layers over each other, the big trunks, and over that is 4 meter wide wooden street, and it was now discovered through the constructing site of the Molkemarkt, got a new power line and a new gas main line, and so it was discovered. And this wood was preserved so incredibly good under a big layer of turf. And in the moment when the turf was taken away, the wood, which was anyway, it looks perfect, but it was, by the fungis, it was nearly not in the perfect state anywhere. So in the moment when the air came to the wood, it dried out. And now, some weeks later, the street is filled with sand again, and this is a silicone cast. And I mean, the Berlin facades, there's a negative, but here is my plan to cast it in a different material, like, I don't know, and to walk for the next years of it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, what a surreal situation to be in, an event not taking place on Zoom. The first time I've had to get dressed from the waist down for about 2 years. The downside is that you won't have a mute button tonight, so you're going to have to put up with us talking. But the upside is that you will get a chance to ask questions. So please, for the next 20 minutes or so, be thinking about the kinds of issues that you want to put to our 2 guests tonight, the things that you really want to challenge them on. I was really taken with the kind of directness of the title that the Friends of the Neue Nationalgalerie came up with, because it suggests a kind of duty, beyond fulfilling the client's brief or the kind of massaging of the architect's ego or the lining of the pockets of the developer. The architecture has this kind of social responsibility and a wider role beyond just the creation of the objects. And I think you couldn't get a better example of a practitioner kind of showing the duty of the architect beyond those kinds of traditional boundaries. I suppose the challenge for me when an institution picks an architect and an artist is to find common ground. So I've come up just with 3 kind of brief principles that I think we could, or three themes that we could talk through and then open it up to the audience. The first one I want to begin with is, I suppose, the capacity of architecture to act as a kind of vessel of identity and civic memory, because to me that's something that both of your work kind of strongly exudes. And maybe we could begin with Francis, just in terms of working on 2 such high-profile national projects, both the new National Assembly for Burkina Faso and next door, the Parliament for Benin. How do you go about trying to kind of embody a sense of civic memory and national identity in those 2 architectural projects?
So, okay, I mean it's quite a challenge. As I was trying to say, I'm trying to find always ideas that are embodied in the culture of the people, a sort of identity. And one strong idea for the Benin National Assembly is the palaver tree, l'arbre à palabre. When it was clear that my office, that we will build it, I was given the chance to meet, someone who is descendant of a legendary traditional leader. And he just told me, you know, the idea of l'arbre à palabre is making a great honor to our tradition. And I cannot wait to see the arbre à palabre of my ancestral land. And I was saying, wow, you're touching them with that kind of ideas. And then if it comes to a parliament house, you have to look at, it's a big country. How can I find element that is in every single region and creating a sort of identity to try to get it implement within. So even the last group from my team that has come was just being guiding through material like a sort of rock from every places that you will use it. So for them to find something that is related to their life, to their region. But sometimes I also provoke, like the Parliament House in Ouagadougou. The starting point was there was a revolution and the Parliament House was burned down. And I have been called by different groups, including politicians, to come and design a modern, transparent, and welcoming Parliament House, which would also host a memorial as well as a museum for those that lost their life during the revolution. Normally, you will not respond because it's not easy to really build, and resources, money may be an issue. But in my case, I had no choice than to reply positively. If I said no, the criticism is he is famous in the West, in the world, and the nation is calling him to contribute to building the nation, and he says no. This is how you kill an African professional, especially artist or architect. So I did it. I responded and using a provocation. I said, pyramids, where are pyramids? Of course, in Africa. So they build pyramids in Egypt. So let's build a big pyramid. And we get every region to contribute. It's your way to see how you get them contribute, one thing. And then, again, l'arbre, the tree. I happened to arrange within the Parliament House a sort of courtyard with a giant tree. And the tree is always a symbol where you can be informal, but where you also can be formal. During the debate, it may be very hot because of political opposition, but then if you left and you go within the Parliament House in this court to just walk around, you may meet your political encounter, and you may find a decision outside of the debate hall. And so those ideas has been welcomed in Burkina Faso. Of course, there is a priority. It has been put on hold. But actually now talking to you, I see a big chance that it may happen right now.
How do the politicians feel about the idea of allowing the population to climb on top of them? That was one of your provocations with the Burkina building. Yeah.
That was the criticism. All those people, even artists, really, they're fierce. They just said, no leader in Africa will allow people to climb on the top of their Parliament House. Of course, I'm honest to you. You see the Reichstag here. The project of Norman Foster is an inspiration, but inspiration doesn't mean to copy. That is what we do wrong. Of course, they said it will never happen. But they said, okay, anyhow, go and meet Mr. Salif Diallo, the Parliament House president, the president of Parliament House. So in my head, some of the office members that helped design are still here. They knew that I said, believe me, I will go present them, and they will say no, and I will come back, we will celebrate. Okay, I went to meet Mr. Salif Diallo, and he just looked at me, Monsieur Kéré, j'aime votre projet. I love your project, you know. But, you know, we are a poor country. We have to make some adjustment. I came back to Berlin to say, hey, guys, we have to work harder. They loved the provocation, and it even came to Berlin, and Andrea Maretto gave him these glasses. He walked through the Parliament House, and he was so impressed. So we had to work. They didn't reject the idea. You may be lucky, but I think working with artists, it gives you this capacity of like really trying to push hard the boundary. And sometimes it works.
Hopefully the Pritzker will be the extra encouragement that the new government there needs to realise the building. Asta, just coming on to your Berlin facades project, I mean, I suppose it in a way is recording the ways in which a facade can act as a kind of record of history and of a building's identity over time. How do you see, I mean, is it the tension between architecture kind of retaining that memory and the record of history and allowing the city to develop at the same time? Do you think Berlin has struck the right approach?
Yeah, there are two parts, or maybe there are the two most important parts for me in this project. Is the first to this ecological metaphor again, in which buried objects of the past are brought to the surface to be aware of or to reconstruct the relation to them, and to think about what happened and what not should happen again, and to think about this injuries, damages, and traumas. I really think that this kind of lively, of damaged things are telling us more about ourselves and about material than meaningless surfaces. But I don't want to say by this, this is not something not nostalgic, or this doesn't say, or I don't want to say by this that the whole city should look like this, but I think that we really should keep some of these monuments of what happened, like from the war of older things, and not exchange them. I was really very, I think one of the biggest catastrophes in Berlin is the Humboldt Forum, or the exchange to the Palast der Republik. I really still can't understand why a symbol of the Prussian authorital state is exchanged to the big symbol of the GDR. It looks bad. It looks.
Did you have a chance to cast any parts of the Palast der Republik before it was demolished?
Sorry?
Did you have a chance to cast with your silicon any fragments?
but I have 14 windows of the Palast der Republik, and I'm right now doing a sculpture of 7 of this. Yeah, I think we need buildings which are monuments, either for like a vision, like for the community, or like if an old building. I mean, I really still think that it were great, the Palast der Republik, to renovate it and to take out the what was the problem with the
asbestos?
Asbestos,
was the excuse.
and then yeah, this was a fake excuse. And then the other side of the facade, I think it were great, a facade of yours, a clay facade. Or I mean, if you have renovated the Palast der Republik from the other side, it were, I mean, I don't know if you would like, but I mean, I have many ideas. What we could do with older buildings to bring them visionary into the very futuristic things. I really think either I like the old broken things, and I really very keen about really visionary architecture. Like there are so many materials among researchers which are substitutes to concrete, like wood and these big stone blocks and clay and
Well, that moves perfectly on to the next theme, which is all about materials and especially the use of casting. Because I was interested, Francis, in your more recent projects that you've moved from individual clay earth blocks to make the walls to literally kind of casting in situ with a form of liquid clay. Could you talk a bit about the attraction of casting in your work?
Okay. I came across starting to pool clay because rammed earth is labor intensive, but not the fact that we need more labor, but you have to make sure that it doesn't crack or crumble down afterward. But then trying to putting a little bit of cement to give it a sort of consistent, make it easy because you will have a form and you will go ahead. That is in my work always when I'm working in Africa, trying to create a sort of innovation, to keep doing what I didn't like watching by growing up is to see that we will just have one model that we copy, even cheap, and you keep replicating it. And it's like, for me, it's like having a dish. I cannot have the same every day. So my work is about research, about trying to improve on always. So that is the way where we start to develop forms, a stable form, you have it, and then you could keep changing and reusing it.
And you're developing a new materials research laboratory in Gando, in your home village, is that right?
Yeah, it's like keep on going. Try to find solutions to inform yourself, to really gain knowledge before you start to spread it. In my work, it's always about transferability. How do you transfer an idea or let people be inspired by it if you don't know really about it? If if you're in the place where there is no record about knowledge, and that's what the office is then keen to do, and to really allow this transferability
and really test it in the elements.
Yes.
Yeah. Asta, could you talk a bit about your choice of materials? Because I gather you've cast in clay, and obviously silicon has become your kind of trademark, as it were. Can you talk a bit about those choices?
Yeah, casting. I really, really love castings, casting or to cast. During my training when I was art student, I learned how to cast and to mold, and this classical positive, negative cast from clay and plaster. And this is a working practice, what I still prefer physically. It really took me years to understand the emotional and conceptual capacity of castings, of cast. Do you say of castings? Yeah, okay, of castings. And then I started to make cast of a fresh plot soil close to the Polish border, and I made a cast of lovers. It was a live cast, and a cast of a family, and cast of the horse carriage of Goethe and the Mercedes of Adenauer, and my smart, and then the Berlin facades and the Bohlendamm. But I think the great thing with casting is that even if you have a cast of your footprint on a beach or of your shoe in the snow, this is very touching because touching happened. If matter to matter happened, if material to material is casted or material to material touched, this is something else. As if it was not a cast, where not touching happened. It's on the one hand, it's a physical production way, which I think the people who see it still can feel it.
Yeah, something incredibly tactile about it. and the fact that in future we might be able to walk over your cast of the oldest street in Berlin if all goes according to plan. Just before opening it up to questions to you guys, I wanted to touch on our current context, where we are now, and just get your views on the kind of direction that Berlin itself is going in, and particularly the obstacles to realizing work here, Francis, because you've been based here since, is it the late 1980s? And obviously your work, began in Africa, but you've entered several competitions and have projects underway in Europe. What are the main obstacles to getting things built here specifically?
I think it's first to find a project, which is not easy. For the office, we just do very few competitions when we are invited. And nowadays, I'm going even further to ask for a little contribution so that we don't waste the little capacity that we have to do. But in general, I see that the problem with projects may be the over-regulated situation, how things are being done. That's why I really admire everyone that is able to build here and put a little bit or infuse a little bit of innovation. These people have my admiration. But I think we are in a over-regulated sector, which make construction not so easy. And so that is the reason why everything ends looking the same,
Could you talk a bit about your tower project in Munich?
The Tower of Munich. By the way, we had a long discussion with the Priska people if we should let. I didn't want to be part, but the tower project is first a challenge. I was invited to a dinner for the school, where the school president were, and when I arrived, there was a presentation of our project, which is supposed to be a center of a new site of, they call it Garching campus. It's an extension of the university outside of Munich. And after this presentation, a lady stand, who happened to be a friend of mine, she then just said, dear guests, do you know why I brought Professor Kéré? Professor Kéré. Why I brought Professor Kéré here? I want to push him to design something that is new, fresh, and modern. And then you look to the people sitting, everyone was surprised about this idea, and I just sit, it's talking about this Professor Kéré. Okay, it was about me. And then suddenly someone said, okay, he should propose something. And afterward, I heard the president saying, normally in past time, if we hire someone saying that he's talented and we love his work, normally we will challenge him, we will give him a project. So this became then my project. Okay, some of the key people had holidays, and I had to find a solution. And time was pressing. I have to prove that I'm a designer. And I went to the site, and I looked to the site. Because of the wealth in Bavaria, the university is getting a lot of resources, mainly sponsor. They will then sponsor a faculty. So, and then it keeps building with no master plan. So it grows randomly and apparently cold. And I was the guy that should design something to link to all of this. So what do? You have many, many buildings that are there. So I came across the idea to really create a structure that is rotating, which would have a museum, alumni meetings, a lot of functions. And then the choice of being 50 meter or 80 meter high. Okay, I did it. Being inspired by Maibaum, it's a place where the Bavarians really gather with their traditional stuff. Everyone told me we will go back to the villages and we gather around this tree. Okay, this was my motive. Yeah, Maibaum. Oh, and we did it. And we worked hard on that, and we did a beautiful model. Models are always convincing. If I can give a trick to these people, models is good. We made a model, and I went to meet the president of the tomb, who was a very important personality, very strong Bavarian. And I just went shyly, and I tried to explain him the project. And I tried to say, you know, it's like a Maybaum, and then you can rotate it. And he happened to be a chemist. And he started to explain me my project. So I went back, just let him talk. And he had like 5 minutes for me. It ended up becoming 2 hours. He explained to everyone my project. And he uploaded, and they even use it to apply for the what do you call it, where the German university compete to have found, and they use it. Do you know how little I was feeling? And it was in the program. My fear coming back to Berlin, if they fail, I am there. And they succeeded. They even raised more than 14 million and waiting to raise more. No, I have no fear. We may build it. I don't know.
Let's hope the Pritzker is the catalyst again to encourage that project along.
Yeah.
Just briefly, Asta, your take on the city. I was interested when we spoke, you had some pretty fierce criticisms of the way Berlin is going at the moment.
Do you mean architecture?
The nature of architecture and development in the city here.
What I think about, so this is my favorite building there, the Philharmonie, anyway. This is, and I think maybe because it was, the model was a real model, and it was not made as a 3D model. My mother was engineer, and she always described that there is a big difference if it's a real made model or if it's something is designed on the computer. But okay, but you didn't ask me that. Okay, I wanted to. I think there is a big. I'm really waiting for more courage. I'm really waiting for less rules and for color, for visions. And I'm so, this is so sad. I mean, for 30 years, Berlin was much nicer when it was much more broken and was less investors' architecture. And I can't believe that even if there are very expensive buildings, that there are no ideas and no visions. I don't have a better word.
It's a challenge to all you developers and architects in the audience.
Risks and maybe mistakes. I mean, real mistakes, good mistakes. I think it's much better to stand in front of a facade and you say, "Oh God, how really horrible!" Or maybe it's failed, and then this mediocre. I mean, I don't want to get so angry, and so, but I think this more and more mediocre from year to year. This is so sad.
Right, perfect time to open it up to the floor. We've got a roving microphone, I think, somewhere, maybe at the back. Who wants to be the brave person with the first question or provocation or heckle to our two illustrious guests? Or do you all just want to go and have a drink instead? You have the Pritzker Prize winner right here in front of you. Now is your moment to challenge him. Okay, first question over there. Is there a microphone? Yeah. Oh, sorry, you have to go to the microphone.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question for Francis. It was beautiful to see in the early projects what the architecture is doing for the people. Now it's giving them jobs. And now things are changing. The projects are becoming bigger. Maybe not talking about Munich, but talking more about the parliament building. What's coming next there? Can the people be further involved the bigger and bigger the projects come? Is getting something lost on the way? How are you dealing with that?
Yeah, indeed. If you have a single project, little project, where you can just get people involved at the community level, and you switch to have a big project, this is indeed a big issue. And that is what the office is now learning. In this construction site, even the office in Berlin will just travel. We're trying to plan to be at least twice a month, even myself, to there. But on the construction site, we have a team coming from many African nations. First of all, not to give the image of like coming from Europe and just do it, you know. And so they're totally African. You have European also living in Africa, so part of it exists. But the biggest idea to get the community involved, what we're trying to do, is save here the way that it is in the brief. We really prepare a brief with the client that minimum 80 to 90% of the material should come from the country. And so I was referring that my team went like to really check, even instead of getting cheap tiles, really this is always the case from outside Africa. I will not just name a nation because I have to be careful what I'm saying, but then to just get locally available material which would generate an income and then boost, you know, the economy. And even everything through openings, now I'm looking forward to see how all of this will work. And if this work, then, you know, that is the best thing you can do. I cannot tell you we're going to succeed. We're fighting for it, but it will work. And already, like, everything is really trying to get done from inside. Let's see. I will tell you later.
Any more questions? One over here.
I've got a question for the two of you, actually. To Asta, if you say you're waiting for more courage, a vision, if you would, for instance, think about the Bauakademie, which is going to be built again in Berlin, could you formulate a wish that you would have, sort of what should happen there, what could be a vision, or how much courage they should have to build this building in Berlin, which is so important for Berlin? And to Francis, I would be very interested in your point of view if we build a public building in Berlin and we want to concentrate on local resources and also maybe local traditions. What would that mean for a city like Berlin? So those are my questions. Thank you.
Great. Asta, do you want to go?
I'm not really into the Bauakademie thing, but I'm very keen about this wood skyscraper in Kreuzberg from MAD. I think it's from Helsinki. And I'm very keen about new materials like stone blocks and clay and sustainable materials. I think this is very important that right now the material and the production process from the beginning to the demolition and the social process is very reflected and is intelligent and is on the right side. So there are so many possibilities to build in a good way.
Okay. So what can be traditional and what can be seen as local material? You know, when we were building the Serpentine, it was about, I wanted to have wood coming direct around London. So, and then living in Germany, I will also use the trick. We end up, today is not popular anymore. We end up getting wood coming from Russia. I was myself surprised. And it was good to say the wood is coming from Europe, you know, that time. Today it may not be good enough. The same I will say, we would have to look what is coming from around Europe, what is available, and what is really now in the region. This is the moment where we start to have freedom and reinvention of architecture. If the brief says, look at around and give a challenge to every single one, we can work. But in this place where you really have everything interlinked, and even so transport and carbon print playing a big role, it is about checking to see what is best available and find out what is important for this city. I don't know what can be, but to explore. Something that I want to really quickly say is a building in its nature is touching everyone because of its size. Not just for you that we good to use it. It's you as neighbor, you know, you just as a person passing or living in this city. The building is present, physical present. And from that, I think it's not just about the material. It's about debating, however, what we're going to do to get the people be involved. I remember there is one big project that failed in Stuttgart 21, they call it. It led to a big crisis in that region, and even to a changing of a political system. What I'm pledging is to try to get people more involved then, and that is already great. You know, it's great. My office, we're building, so you will be surprised, we're building the so-called Chalet Africain. It's a private house where I'm called with my office to collaborate with people from the diaspora and to work with craftsmanship from Switzerland to create something unique that reflects to Africa. I remember when I went to visit, and then I went a third time when we started to build, there was a question. So do you remember, Francis, when we told you in Switzerland, in this region, you're not supposed to change the shape of a chalet from outside? And I would say, no, we cannot change? And they say, no, you can't. But I hope one day my office will be able to show you what we happen to do. We really went up to look at today's decoration, and we completely changed the chalet. And it went through the permit and it's in construction. Of course, it is about a dialogue. So one key is the carbon footprint, which is interesting, and make the focus on local material important. With the same client, I wanted to get wood from local. And we have a client that can afford, and he will go and buy a piece of wood that is many hundred years old, and to save and introduce. But I wanted to have fresh, new wood that costs nothing almost, and introduce it in the building. And they start to look at and realize if you try to get wood 60 kilometers from that site, it may cost 3 times if you go somewhere else, 400 kilometers to get the wood. And that is what we have to really take under consideration in trying to do so. There are many, many factors. I spoke too long, but it was important to reflect in examples.
I think we have time for one final question, if there's any burning. Yeah, just at the back there.
Hey, I was very happy to learn today a little bit more about both of your practice. So the one is from the art and the other one from the architecture. And I'm wondering, so from today, what's the aspect that you're most inspired by each other? So Asta, what is the things that you like from Kéré and the other side around? So can architecture inspire art and the way around?
There are many things. What I find so great about Francis' architecture, but the most is how he really found a way to do something for the community what really worked, not only from the social point of view, but from the aesthetic point of view. This is something what only a few people can say in their life, that they do something positive in this way.
So if I have a talk, I'm doing the same like if I have a construction site. For me, it was important to go and visit her atelier. I primarily, maybe we should not say it loud, I love artists. I like to work with artists. So the difference between them and we often focus on basement and on cost and so, but artists are so free from all of that. Of course, we discuss about suffering, and then you need to have things that are selling. But the concept, like when I was working with a former friend of Klaus, Christoph Schlingersief, when he had an idea, he didn't care about all the rest. And sometimes I wish that we have this courage, just push ideas. And what I love it in your work practically is the casting, I love all of that, and our debate and our discussion. So again, it was inspiring to see next door. I mean, Wedding is a little bit far from Kreuzberg, but it was good to see the process. There is a process, and I like a process. And there is a vision just to try to do things, not knowing, does it have an economical value, And so this is about research, and that's what I love in your work.
So soon we might be seeing some more cast facades on Francis's buildings and perhaps some more earthen clay work coming from Asta's studio. All that's left for me to do is to thank all of you for turning out, especially given the current situation. So thank you all so much for coming, and to thank our two incredible speakers for their contributions tonight. And I think thanks to the kind sponsors, Euroboden, we're going to be treated to some drinks out on the terrace. Is that right? Yeah, just out there. So see you all for a drink.
Thank you, Oliver, for the questions.
Thank you. Thank you.